The 2019 Spiel des Jahres nominees have been announced, so we're going to tell you about them, discuss our thoughts on them, which ones we've actually been able to play, which ones maybe not, and of course you can comment a little later. But why don't we start off with the big one?
That's right, the Spiel des Jahres themselves, the award nominees for 2019 are, first, Just One, which is a simple word-guessing party game about trying to give clues to your teammates to get them to guess secret words. Then there's a game called Llama, which comes from designer Rainer Knizia and is a game about playing cards with numbers at the right times. Some of those cards have llamas on them, and you have to play those as well. And finally, Werewords, which was released over in the US under Bezier Games, which is sort of like a 20 questions game with a werewolf twist on it.
Next up, we have the Kennerspiel des Jahres. If you don't know, this is the one that's awarded to more of the longer games, definitely more of the heavy games that more board game enthusiasts would enjoy. So we're going to start off with Detective, a modern crime board game from Ignacy Trzewiczek. This is a game where you'll be trying to solve a huge mystery through 5 cases. And then after that, we have Carpe Diem from Stefan Feld. This is a game where you'll be building a map through laying tiles. It has a Roman theme to it. And finally, we have Wingspan, the game from Stonemaier, which was extremely hot, and everyone was trying to get their hands on so much that they had to make a lot more new waves and even airship some of them over.
The Kinderspiel des Jahres is the final set of nominees. These are the little kids' games for just the children. And this year they've got Fabulantica, which is a fairy tale themed memory-based game. Then there's Go, Gecko, Go, a racing game in which players have different creatures you're trying to get, and you can also stack them on top of each other, kind of like a camel up type of thing. And finally, Tal der Vikingder, which means something to do with Vikings. It's Land of Vikings or something of Vikings, I forget. But it's a Viking dexterity game where you're trying to knock over barrels with balls. Basically, it's like a little mini bowling game on a board that you can play for kids. So let's get into it. Definitely the big ones, obviously, Spiel des Jahres. We have played Werewords a bunch, and it's a little weird sometimes because in that game, it seems like, didn't that game come out a long time ago? But they base all their things on what comes out in Germany. So for them, that's a new release. But I mean, it's a game that I loved, and I think it makes perfect sense why it's on this list.
This is definitely, I think, the first one in the last few years that you feel like there's one that you're really like, not just like, oh, it's a gimmick. You're like, I like this game.
Yeah, really, really like.
Llama is, I cannot find an English release anywhere, but you can actually find the rules, English rules online. So I've actually been able to make a mock-up of that game. And
it sounds very simple.
I did like a goldfish innocence by myself just to see how it worked. And it's definitely, like, it's simple, but then there comes the end, like, some choices. It's almost like gambling, like, do I push my luck or not? So it's an interesting. It's like, I can see why maybe it made the list. Is that one thing you don't expect until you play it?
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of, it sounded like similar games that have been nominated in the past, like The Mind, Hanabi, The Game. Really, it's like another one of these games where there's a number on the table and you want to play a number, either the next one in order or something.
But unlike all those, it doesn't have a fabulous looking llama.
It does have a fabulous looking llama. And then the last one we talked about is Just One, which is another word guessing game. So there's 2 word guessing games in the category this year. And this one also seems extremely simple. In fact, I bet you could easily do this at home if you wanted to. It's basically, you're trying to, as a team, give clues for one person to guess a word, but if multiple people write down the same clue, then they don't get to look at it. So you're trying to think, like, maybe there's an obvious clue, but you don't want to write it because you think someone else will write it and then it won't help the guesser. Which sounded, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of a sucker for these word guessing games, so it sounded like something I would have fun with, but another very simple one. None of these are too extreme. Like, all of these, I think, not having played the other 2, but knowing about the rule sets, they seem like real easy games.
I didn't know about it, but I was able to find and pick up that one. I have that coming soon, so we'll actually be able to play in a copy and we can tell our thoughts on that. In fact, most of these were, in terms of the 2 that we usually care more about, we're hypothetically be able to actually say we've played all of them for once.
Yeah, in the near future at least. Yeah, a lot of them are available in the US.
But moving on to the Kennerspiel, I think we got to start off with the one that made our top 10 list.
That's right.
And that's Detective.
Detective, yeah, big one. I mean, Again, I get it. I see why they put it on there. I'm guessing it's a release thing because I'm surprised Chronicles of Crime, a similar kind of genre that also was on our lists last year, didn't make a nominee. I don't know if it's because it was a different time frame or, like I said, not released there yet. But usually they go for those innovative, more kind of games. Detective, though, I think qualifies as innovative.
Oh yeah, I think it maybe pushes a little bit ahead. I mean, while I like the other one for because you can shuffle cards in essence, possibly make your own. Detective, I think just the idea of the database and plugging things in was a whole new, I think, way to think around and how to solve some of these cases.
Yeah, it was definitely a ton of fun. And the other one we played in this category was Wingspan. In fact, we're putting up a review for Wingspan probably this week, so everybody's talking about it. And again, it makes sense. It makes sense that it's there. And then the Carpe Diem game we haven't been able to play, but from Stefan Feld, it sounds like kind of a similar thing to his past games, getting a bunch of points.
But luckily, like I said, I was able to pick that up with just one too, so hopefully.
Luckily for us, not for you.
Yeah, there actually weren't many left when I bought it, so.
But I'm definitely interested to play all of those and find out what makes them special. Anything that you want to talk about the kids' games? Or?
I will say the Go Gecko Go one, because the way it works is you have creatures and you can stack them so they can help them move faster, but there are bridges you have to clear, and if you're stacked too high, you'd hit them. I've seen enough traffic videos where I think some adults need to learn to play this game.
That sounds like a good idea. They should do it in traffic schools.
And I mean, the bowling one does sound really cute too. I think that's fun. I will say, I mean, this is just from very quick glance over. These are definitely, for games like these, I want to see them in person because usually they are things that are more dexterity and pieces. Yeah. The first one,
Fabulantica,
seemed, at least just from quick glance, like the one I'm probably the least interested of those three.
It is nice to see, compared to kids' games that we grew up with, that it just seems like they're so much cooler these days, or have more interesting designs to them at least. I will say this year, I think the nominees seem pretty good from what I know about them and from which ones we've played. Like I said, I feel like the Spiel des Jahres, last year Azul was up, I believe.
Didn't that win?
I think it probably did win. I can never remember what won or didn't. But to me, Azul seems like 12 times more complex than any of this year's nominees, which is interesting.
They definitely seem like the Spiel des Jahres almost seem like the kids who are playing the Kennerspiel could easily get the Spiel des Jahres really quickly.
They're pretty basic. Which is fine. It's just interesting.
That's fine. But Werewords in particular, of those three, I haven't played just one, so I won't comment on that one. And the Llama one, while it's enough to know it, I haven't played in the full group to really, get the feeling around it. I love the game.
To be fair, I would even say the same we said of those two of Werewords. I think, that game uses an app, but you could recreate that game if you really wanted to with pieces of paper too. All three of them are so simple. But yeah, I like Werewords, and it sounds like
I know compared to last year, I think while we had fun with the game, maybe playing through some of them, Werewords is one of the games. I think a lot of them on here. We'll see with just one. That sounds interesting. Carpe Diem, we'll see. But Detective only because it's a story-based game. But I'm excited. You got the LA. We haven't really played.
LA Crimes expansion.
But Werewords, Wingspan, these are games I love having them hit the table multiple times.
Yeah, they're really quality games. I'm curious to find out which ones will take it. I feel like if the hype in Germany is the same as it is here, Wingspan seems like a lock for Kennerspiel. And I don't know about the other one. I feel like it could go any way.
Well, I don't know because this is the curious thing about when it comes to the Jahres awards. I think there's not just consideration of how good the game is, but how available it is. So I think Wingspan might lose because of that.
I would think that if that were so much of a concern, they wouldn't have nominated it in the first place.
I don't know.
I think usually, I think usually their thing is we want to make sure that the company is able to put it out.
That's
so maybe
true.
they think enough time has passed, they're getting it out there. We'll find out. They're going to announce the winners for this on July 22nd. So we have a couple of months to wait. They're taking their sweet sweet time.
That gives us a few months, three games for us to.
It gives everybody watching plenty of time to try and track down a copy, or, as I said, create your own at home, or support those game creators and buy them with your own hard-earned money.
I mean, the reason why I created Llama was because I couldn't even find an English copy or anywhere. But I think I'd rather have that because the artwork on those llamas are just fantastic. I love it. It's just so great.
They could go right next to your Jaipur box and those camel cards.
That's the next game. Need to combine them. Camels and llamas.
Yeah, let's get alpacas in there too.
That's the expansion.
Let us know in the comments which games are you rooting for? Which ones have you played? Is there anything that you thought was snubbed this year? I saw some people talking about Decrypto as another word-based game that maybe they thought was better than these other ones. Another one I'm not sure. Again, it all comes down to when things were released, but Cryptid is one we played that seems to me like a pretty good candidate for a Spiel des Jahres type of game.
I definitely will say, once again, especially with Decrypto, I do really like that game a lot too.
There's a lot of great games. Talk to us. What do you think about these awards in general? We're listening. Until we read those and talk to you again, my name is Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this has been Roll for Crit.
We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
For legal reasons, we've got to disclose we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with more awesome content.